Okay, today I'd like to talk a little bit about this new product that's called the Computer Use Assistant. Also, as another nickname, it's the Computer Use Agent because it does work with a lot of the agentic AI type stuff nowadays. And I don't usually spend a lot of time playing with these, but this one was so mind-blowing that I had to get involved and try it for myself. So basically what it does is it uses natural language speaking like you would normally, like I'm doing right now, in fact. You can talk to a computer kind of in the way that ChatGPT and Copilot and those type of things work, but it takes that information, and when you make a request of it, it can actually use that request, break it down into separate steps, and take those steps on your local device. I'm going to go through an example here in just a second, and you'll really see the amazing power of what this does compared to the regular ChatGPT, OpenAI, Copilot, and a browser. So what I have here is I have a prompt, and it's a little bit hard to read, but basically what we're seeing here is the instructions are telling this to open a web browser, look for a plant, find the first picture of a lilac with flowers, save it to the local computer, then go open Gmail, start a new email, put that same picture into that Gmail, and then address that email to a certain person, put the subject, sorry, the subject to be called, I'll explain later because I'm kind of doing this as a test run and I didn't have a chance to explain what I was doing here with the test. And then the message is trying out some cool new tech because that's exactly what we're doing here. So you can see I'm going through the steps here. I just want to make sure I've got everything right. The important thing to note about this is natural language. This is just the way you would talk to a person on your own. You don't have to customize it with syntax. And this machine's not been trained to take any of this information. It's just install this program essentially as is and see what it thinks to do with it. So one thing to notice here in the corner is there are rules applied. You can go into the code itself and pre-prompt it. In this case, basically, we noticed that it was having trouble trying to find the icon for a web browser. So we put in a command that says, before anybody asks you to do anything, if you're asked to open a website or go to a browser at any time, just use the keyboard control WinR to open a window and then run it there so it'll pop up in the default browser. Otherwise, this thing was literally searching my desktop trying to find the right icon, and it was just having trouble finding the icon for a web browser. So pretty cool how that actually ended up being really creative on its own. So this is an example. I did tell it to go to the website, so it's going to go out and it's going to start at Google. I did tell it to do a search. That's where it chose to search at. I mean, I would have probably gone with Bing, but that's okay. And so one thing that I want to point out right off the bat is I told it to look for a plant and then search the pictures for a flowering lilac. Instead, it went straight to flowering lilac. It cut that step out of searching for plants because it knew that a flowering lilac is a plant, and so this just further refines and makes that more efficient. Now, at this point, it maximized the screen. I don't know why it thought that was a good idea. I kind of thought it didn't need to be, and I wanted to see what it was doing in the background. So after a moment, I actually thought, hey, why don't we shrink this window back down again? So that's what I did here. And now the problem is it was trying to right click to save the image, which is what it was told to do. I didn't make it very happy because I moved its mouse cursor in between when it looked at the screen and when it clicked, and so it missed. And then realizing that it missed, it re-maximized that screen. So it has a self-healing feature where if you click on it or interact with it and it sees something has gone wrong, it can actually go back and repeat steps to get back where it needs to be. A moment ago there, you just saw a little icon fly off to the side. Its first attempt on this round was actually trying to drag it off to the desktop because it doesn't know it's on a Windows operating system. So when that didn't work, now it's going back to its first plan, which is the right click. And this box has popped up here. You can see that there's an option to save the image, and it clicks on it to go ahead and save the image to my computer. Now, one thing that is really important about this is an amazing amount of control that these machines have. So it's really cool that by default, out of box, it has the ability to ask you, like in this window here, if it's okay for it to do certain things. So in this particular situation, we actually have it asking, hey, I found the file you looked for. I think it's what you want it to be. I'm ready to download it. Is that okay? And I'm being prompted to say yes or no. You can choose to skip this step and have it automatically confirm, but I left this in because A lot of people are concerned about machines having too much control or taking inappropriate actions, and so this makes sure that you have human oversight if you want it. So we'll go ahead and continue. That file was approved, and so now it's going to go ahead and find that save button and click on it and save it to my local computer. So first half of this is completed. It went and found a picture. Looks like it did even a couple of issues along the way. It found its way with the problems that it found on the way, fixing them as it went, and completed the first task. The second task is now to go to my Gmail and actually create an email and send it to somebody. So let's see how that goes. Now, the first thing I want to mention about what we saw there, which wasn't very impressive, is that it does actually put in the link. It validates that the link is there before it continues to the next step. And so it actually will type, look, and read its own text, and then type some more. And then before we get into that message, you can see some of the actual code along the side here now that we're out of the full screen. And you can see there's a place where it actually maximized the window for the interaction, and you can see that it let's see, attempting to save the image, and then it succeeds in saving the image. You can see also where I was prompted about halfway down the screen, and then it can go through with the click with the vector, the XY coordinates of where the save button would be the next line below that. So it's now going into the role of creating an email, and you can see it breaks it down into the first step is to open a browser, the second step is to go to Gmail, and so on. So even though I didn't tell it to do all of those things, it knows how to take the task and break it down into individual actionable steps. So now it has opened up the window, and it's going to go ahead and start using that information from the prompt to create this email message that it's going to send. The first thing that I thought was really cool about this is when it first starts the process of trying to put in the email address, it clicks on the word to. And what you'll notice here is that the icon is not flashing, or the cursor is not flashing next to it anymore because of where it clicked. And so it just tried, even though you can't see it, it just tried to paste the email address into the place, but because the cursor is not in the field next to the word to, it failed. So it actually is going to go back, and it's going to think about what to do, and it realizes that it's not in the right place. So it's going to click in the right place to create that cursor, which then allows it to actually succeed in pasting into the field instead of next to the field. So I've blurred that out because I don't want to include any private information along the way here, but what's happening in the background at this particular section is it's actually validating that email address is entered properly, and then confirming that that's the recipient that they want to use. So now it's moved on to the next field. You can see it's putting in the subject, and in a moment here it's going to pull out that message to go in the body of it as well. It's going to drop that in here. And now here's the hard part. In the prompt, I didn't say the name of the file because I didn't know the name of the file. I didn't know where the file was going to be, and I just told this thing, hey, I want you to get this file and attach it. So I didn't tell it to go use my Google Drive, but because it's using Gmail, it chose to go that route. As we all know, you can also click the little paper clip and choose to upload directly to the email, but this is free range. It can do whatever it wants. So in this particular scenario, instead of doing the direct connect upload, it actually uploads it to my drive, then attaches that to the email in just a moment here. And so here's another point where just a second ago I didn't stop it quickly enough, but it was asking, am I allowed to upload this file? So first, you download the file and it asks for permission. Next, when it uploads the file, it asks again, do I have permission to do this? So again, with those user checks and oversights in place, which can be automatically turned off. Let me stop on it this time here. So you can see a little bit of higher up, 3 rows from the bottom, it says the file, the image file, which it figured out on its own from its own context, which file to look for. And it found it in the downloads, and it's ready to attach. It needs permission, which I gave it. So then it did actually put it into my my Google Drive. And now it says at this point the email is ready to be sent. And it explains all the details of what it's done and asks for confirmation to actually send the email. One thing I want to point out here is in the grayed out section, it actually interpreted the name from the earlier screenshot. It interpreted the name of the recipient, even though all I gave was the email address. It was able to figure out the user's name from the contact that showed up in my Gmail. So it is actually looking at everything it does as it moves through this process. Now, at this point, I did think it was just going to complete the process, but we actually got one more really interesting interaction here. When it goes to send the email, because it chose earlier to use my Google Drive, it now has to give permission for the recipient to open that file that is attached. That was not part of my command at all because I wasn't even expecting it to take this route. But again, it is kind of self-healing. It has the ability to go through and notice what the problem is, ask me if it can do what it needs to do to continue. In this case, it says there's a pop-up requesting access, and am I allowed to give this access to this person? So in this situation, I do want to do that, so I'm going to say yes. And that message gets sent, just like that. Very cool in my opinion. So I know I went through that very quickly, but as you can see, this is a very powerful update. This is a new tool that I just think is going to change RPAs and computer use and all kinds of things like that. So I wanted to take a minute, even though I'm not an expert at this by any means. I have some very smart people around me who have access and have the ability to understand how to implement things like this. And I just wanted to share this with a few people, and hopefully this will be useful for you to learn about. The website I have here is a GitHub repo. It is available to the public, I believe, but the resources that you're accessing are not yet. There's a place here where you can try to apply for access. I don't know the policies on that, but I'm just sharing the information I have. This particular install on the computer that I did, once the resources are set up, it's so simple. It's 3 steps. It's literally what you see on the screen here. Man, it's just so easy. We didn't do any training. We didn't do any practice with any other tools or anything like that ahead of time. We just set it up and started typing things in, and it can do a lot more than what I just did here in this demo. I've seen it do Power BI. I've seen it do PDFs. I've seen it do finding manuals and downloading them instead of just pictures. It's really powerful. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a link in here real quickly, or a QR code, actually, I should say. Make this easier for you to look at this in your own time. But yeah, I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.